What's going on, everyone? Thanks for checking out this video. I'm standing next to what I think is one of the most refined e-bikes out there right now. This is the Citi Robin X from Euphree. Euphree is constantly updating this bike, making little tweaks to it based on their customer feedback. Customers say, hey, I wish it had this, or I wish this was a little bit different. They take all that in and they make updates to this bike probably every 6 months to a year. This is the latest version. They made a whole bunch of changes. You might be saying, well, it kind of looks like the old version. No, there's like 12 or 13 changes that they made on this model, and I'm gonna walk us through them today. I've been on a lot of e-bikes, probably 50 or more at this point, and it would be hard to think of a company that has put more thought into their e-bike. Little tiny things, I think you're gonna see what I mean as we go through them. Little tiny things, but they make the bike just a little bit better with each update that they do to it. I'm gonna walk us through all 12 or 13 of them, and at the end you might be saying to yourself, okay, well, I think maybe this is the bike I should be getting. Let's take a look. All right, we're checking out the newly updated Citi Robin X from Euphree. And it's kind of a commuter slash cruiser style bike. It's got a nice easy access step through frame. It's also got some swept back handlebars. And this bike goes for $2,099, probably targeted towards the 40-year-old plus crowd, I'm gonna say. Someone that wants to do some just light cruising, maybe a little bit of commuting, maybe some light bicycle trails, I guess even cargo too. You do have a welded on rear rack here that can support, I think, up to like 100 pounds. They also sell an additional rear basket that'll click onto that rack. It just clicks on really easy in like 2 seconds. There's one little release lever. You can pop the rear basket off and on real easy, and they sell a front basket for it as well. So I guess you could turn this into like maybe a little cargo bike slash delivery bike if you wanted to. But the Citi bike from Euphree is always evolving. They're making changes to this bike constantly, small little tweaks to make it better. And let's start going through some of the most recent updates they did. The first is the fenders. They have metal fenders, and they made the fenders twice as thick. Now, the reason they did that is they are less prone to getting dented or bent. And then also too, when you've got a little bit of vibration coming from the rear motor, a lot of times that'll send a buzzing noise throughout thin metal fenders. So by making them thicker, they hopefully will decrease the amount of dents and bends from shipping or just daily use, and then also too, less buzziness throughout the bike. All right, now the next small change they made is also up here at the front. It's with regard to the wire management. As you can see, everything's so neatly wrapped, and it all goes right down into the head tube here, and you don't see it throughout the rest of the bike. It's a very, very clean look. They even put the brake line in there. Normally you don't see that. Normally the brake line's hanging out. They have it going in the head tube and then comes out the bottom of the fork here. So all the wiring is nicely hidden. You don't see a lot of the electrical components. It's very stealth. You don't really know it's an e-bike. You don't see wires sticking out everywhere. Don't really see the motor really big. Batteries integrated into the frame. The display screen's kind of small off to the side. So a lot of times when you're going down the road, I don't think people really realize this is an electric bicycle. So really great job on the cable management on the Citi Robin. And even though all the wiring goes into the head tube right here, they were still able to maintain their adjustable handlebar stem, which I really like that feature because not everyone wants the same ride position. I like to be really tall and upright when I ride. Some people want to lean over a little bit further. This one gives you that adjustment to fit however you want it to fit. You can get whatever ride position you need. Most of the bikes I get have this fixed handlebar extension that comes out here. And I take it off like every bike. I have a whole box of them in my garage. I just take that off because I hate it. Hate being so far leaned over. This bike doesn't give you that feeling. You can even go up higher than this. I have it set up a little bit, but it'll go much, much higher. So you get a tall ride position if you want it. All right, the next little tweak is the grips. Small change, but great change. Most bikes will come with friction grips. They're either leather or rubber, and they're just on there with friction. And once your hand heats them up, they slide all over. They put on the Velo locking grips. So they are locked in place. They don't move. Great update. I love that. Again, I have a whole box of grips in my garage that I take them off like every bike. I don't like the friction grips. They get too loose. I put on locking grips just like this. So I was happy to see this change. Now the next update was the addition of a torque sensor on this bike. So they got rid of the cadence. You now have a torque sensor for your pedal assist, which means the bike is keeping track of the pressure you put on the pedals and delivering you power accordingly. The harder you push, the more power it gives you. I like that system better. Really the only drawback I found is that you can't ghost pedal and get power from the motor. You actually have to push on the pedals to get the bike to go. Isn't that what a concept, right? You have to push on the pedals to get your bike to move. But torque sensor, it's a little bit higher ticket item because it's a sensor that goes down in here in the bottom bracket, but I think it's more intuitive. I like that system a lot better. I'm glad they made that change. Now, going along with the torque sensor, they also made some changes here in the programming of the bike. I'm going to turn everything on so you can see what I'm talking about. We're going to go into the settings. I'll show you what you can change. So you just double tap on the power button. Takes you in the settings. You can toggle through brightness, the system. We're going to go into the advanced settings, and to get in here, you have to put in the password, which is always 1801. So let's do that. 1801. Takes a minute to type in. But now when you're in here, you can change the speed limit. The max is 28 miles an hour, 48 kilometers an hour. I set it to 60 just to tell it no limit, basically. The amps, this will come set at 15, the current limit. I bumped it up to 20. That's the max that you can put in here is 20. I want the most power I can get out of it, so I bumped it up to 20. Toggle down the next one, assist levels, pulls in the motor. The only other two you can change right here, throttle on, which means the throttle's active. It'll come to you with throttle off. So you'll have to go in here and turn it on if you want to have 28 miles an hour out of your throttle. And the start strength, there's two programs in the bike, 01 and 02. I put it on 2 because that's the stronger start. It'll give you a little bit harder kick off the line and when you hit the throttle. So I like the start strength 2, but you could back it off and make this thing a little bit tamer if you wanted. And we'll exit this, but that's all the settings that you can play with in this bike. I'll go toggle down, exit, and I'll just show you quick on the screen. So you got pedal assist, your mileage, and the pedal assist goes Eco, Tour, Sport, Turbo, and then your battery indicator. Very simple to screen. It is a color screen. I kind of like how it's small enough to the side. It's very readable. Good screen, happy with that. 7-speed micro shift, trigger shifters here, all done with your thumb. An integrated phone mount. You can buy a little thing to put your phone in and it clicks off and on this mount in 2 seconds. Pretty cool. Most bikes don't have that. That's what I'm saying, small little details with the locking grips and the great shifter and the phone mount integrated, and it just looks nice up here in the cockpit. Headlight too, I mean the headlight's pretty bright, plus it's got like side marker lights on it. And you do have a tail light and brake light also here at the back of the bike. It does have a thumb throttle, and you know, I like twist throttles, but when you have the shifter over here, it's easier to do the thumb. So they do have a thumb throttle on the bike. On to the next small little tweak that Euphree made to make this bike a little bit better and accommodate more people, and that's they shortened the seat tube by, I think, almost 2 inches right here. So this is 2 inches lower to this point, allowing the seat to go down. I think they reduced the seat height by an inch, inch and a half, and you've got this tall suspension seat post. This comes stock on the bike. They give you this. This is like a $120 seat post. It works fantastic. And it adds a lot of seat height though. When you put this all the way down, I think like 34.5 is the minimum seat height. And I put my wife on here to see how she could do, because she's 5'3", 5'4", somewhere in there, short legs. And she could get her feet down, but not really like flat foot, which is what she likes. So if I have her ride this bike, she'll probably ask me to take this out and just put a regular seat on. Once you do that, it goes way low. Then it's down to like 31 on the seat height. But in my estimation, maybe 5'5" or so, you're probably gonna get a good amount of your foot on the ground. They also updated their seat. So the Velo Plush seat is now the standard seat that they send you. This used to be their upgraded seat. This is now the standard seat. It's nice and wide and flat, and with the seat post, it's really nice. They have another seat on their website that's the upgrade. I think it's called the Lazy Bird, and that thing is huge. It's really thick plush seat. So if you do want something wider, fatter, plusher, they have another option for you. There was a small little tweak to the gearing. Again, just little tiny things. So we used to be 14/28. Now it is 11/28. I think the front is maybe a 50 tooth, which that translates into you just have a better pedal cadence when you're going down the road. 20 to 25 miles an hour, your pedal cadence is very nice and comfortable. I've got a clip of me pedaling at 28. You can do it. It's not bad. You're turning a little bit, but I mean, every tooth helps. Every little change like that helps. When you're at the higher speeds, you can still keep up. There's no ghost pedaling on this bike, is what I should say. You always have feeling in the pedals, even at the 28 miles an hour. The rear hub motor did feel a little bit punchier than the last version. They have a controller now that's a 22 amp max, 20 programmable in the screen, and it felt a little bit stronger than the previous version, honestly. Maybe that's a couple amps higher out of the controller, not sure. They did change the spoke thickness. These are thicker spokes, 12 gauge spokes on the rear wheel now. And other little tweaks, they did a badge here on the front, this little plate that goes over where your front basket mounts. And that's another thing I should mention too. When you put the front basket on here, you don't have to worry about it hitting all the wires. They're all so neatly wrapped and out of the way. I've had other bikes that had front baskets. The company sends me the basket, I put it on, and you can't even turn the handlebars because it's getting caught in all the wires, and it's clearly an afterthought. Well, not the case here. They've got it set up perfectly. You add that basket, don't have to worry about it getting hung up in the wires. And last but not least, they added a cafe lock, which is right here. And I'm gonna grab the keys here off the front and show you how this lock works. All right, so you're gonna get 2 sets of keys with this bike. First key is to unlock your battery from the frame, which is right here. Key goes in, battery drops out the front. The second goes into your cafe lock right there. And you turn the key here. I've already got it kind of turned because it's hard to do this one-handed. And when you turn that, it releases this lever on this side right here. And you're gonna see a little ring slide through the spokes right there. We go all the way down, clicks into place, and now your back wheel is locked. It can't spin. So it keeps the bike from somebody jumping on it and riding it away, or someone, just trying to walk it away and roll it away, because you can't roll it. It's going to run into the spokes right here. So good lock for, I'd say, the times when your bike is in sight. You got eyeballs on it. You're at a restaurant eating, you run into a store real quick, something like that. It's not going to keep somebody from obviously picking it up and throwing it in the back of their truck and leaving with it, but it'll keep somebody from rolling it away. Kind of a cool little feature, kind of hidden in there too. You don't really notice it, but a handy little gadget. I've never seen one before. I didn't really know what it was as they were telling me about it, but now that I see it, pretty handy feature. And to release it, you're just going to turn the key again and you'll retract back into itself. There we go. There you go. Now you're good to go. You can ride away. And speaking of that, let's go take a quick spin on this bike and talk about the ride experience a little bit. All right, so what's it like riding the City Robin X? I'll do my best to give you a feel for this bike. First off, very comfortable because I've got the handlebar stem adjusted nice and tall. This goes up and down, so I'm not leaned over. The handlebars are kind of a swept back design, so they come back to me. I'm not really reaching. I'm sitting nice and tall and upright, which is the position I like to be in. The suspension post is really comfy as well. That absorbs a lot. That Suntour suspension post is better than some of the full suspension bikes that I've been on. It's really soft, and you can adjust it to harder or softer, but it really absorbs really well, and you don't really miss having a full suspension. I mean, super soft ride, even if you get into some slightly bumpy terrain. The other thing that makes it smooth is the torque sensor. So let me explain that one to you a little bit. Torque sensor just keeps track of how hard you're pushing on the pedals instead of just if the pedals are turning. And the way this one works, I've got it in turbo, right? I'm in the highest level, and it engages pretty smooth. If I start pushing hard, I probably get a push and a half to 2 pushes on the pedals before it kind of kicks in and starts delivering me power. And it's a smooth kick in and like a consistent delivery. So I like this one because of that, because it's such a consistent delivery of the power. I've had other torque sensors where they are so hypersensitive that every little push of the pedal causes the bike to surge. So as you're, rotating the pedals and pushing down, every downstroke of the pedals is surge, 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 and you don't get a smooth ride out of it. This one, once you start pushing hard, it's just a smooth delivery. All right, now here's something else a little bit unique about this bike. I'm gonna turn the power off. There you go, it is off. And we're riding, and this is pretty darn easy. You got 7 mechanical gears to shift through, and this bike is light enough weight that you can just ride it like a regular bicycle. But let's get things turned back on here. I'll give you a little taste of what the acceleration is like. We'll come to a stop here in this parking lot and just give it a nice acceleration. It's pretty good off the line. I mean, around town, flat level ground, this thing's pretty zippy. And it'll go 28 in the throttle. So there you go, you're up to 20, no time. Let's jump out onto the greenway a little bit. I really feel this is kind of how you're gonna use the bike. You're gonna be cruising around town, or you're gonna be cruising on paths like this, maybe light gravel or dirt trails. It's not really an off-road machine, just for someone that just wants to relax and cruise and ride. Let me get into a higher gear here. There you go, it's a little better. All right, hill climb test on the City Robin X. Let's see how strong this 500 watt motor really is. So this is the hill we do, throttle only. You ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Actually a pretty good jump off the line there. I'm surprised at that. I do have the settings set to, the fast start, but 10 miles an hour, this thing's cruising right along. I mean, it feels like a 750 motor. it's having no trouble on this hill. Holy cow. Right up the steep spot, no problem. And time. Wow. That's pretty impressive. I'm at 88% battery too, so not a full charge. But man, that was cakewalk for this thing. I'm a little surprised at that. I thought it would struggle a little bit more. It didn't really struggle at all. All right, we'll come up around this curve and then we'll give the throttle only top speed a test. See how fast we can go. There we go. Got my GPS app running as well. See if it matches the bike's display. So we're at 26 on the display of the bike, 25 on the GPS, so pretty close. 27. So about a mile an hour difference, 28 on the display, 27 on GPS. But I mean, carving through these curves. Very nimble feeling on this bike. Yeah, 27, there's 28 on the GPS. 27, 28 is no problem on this bike at all. I'm about 180 pounds. Level ground, this thing zips right along. It's really zippy, but it's a pretty quiet ride. I mean, there's not a whole lot of shakes and rattles. If I can go off into some off-road here, you can hear what it sounds like or not hear anything really. Don't really hear fenders. Whew, a little bumpy there. So if you're looking to do this, just get out and cruise through some good scenery, get a little bit of exercise, as much as you want to get, and just get some fresh air. This is definitely one to check out. Add it to your list. All right, so what'd you think? You see what I mean with attention to detail on every single piece of this bike? And I didn't even cover all the features it has. I've done a full review on the City Robin X before. If you want to check out that video, it's in my playlist. And if you think this is one you might be considering, I'll leave a link to it below. It's just a link. I don't take commissions from e-bike companies, so I don't get anything if you buy one. I'm just here to give you information on bikes that might work for you. If you like e-bike information like this, consider hitting subscribe, checking out more videos. And thanks to Euphree for giving me a chance to test the latest and greatest on the City Robin X. Talk to y'all later. Thanks.